Nikka, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So this album, Pebble to a Pearl, I just have to say the lead track it totally gets me. And I hear a little bit of Stevie Wonder's Boogie On Reggae Woman and just the beat. I mean, did that inspire you at all, or?
Oh, sure. I wanted to make a record that was kind of brought me back to the music that made me want to make records in the first place. And that was, early Stevie and Rufus and Shaka Khan and Etta James and James Brown. And so I was listening to a lot of that stuff just, for inspiration. And
do you remember the first record you ever got? I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but with your family's roots in music, I'm sure that you were surrounded all the time. But do you remember the first time that you had a record of your own?
It was probably something really embarrassing like Christopher Cross or like Toto.
Hey, I like Toto.
Depeche Mode was the first concert I went to see. I remember that. I don't remember the first record. But, I also, obviously, being around music and, I had also older brothers and sisters. So, I had a lot of music around, and at my fingertips. So I didn't really have to go out and, buy things for myself kind of thing.
I understand you started recording when you were 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What were you recording back then?
Well, I made this record. My dad had done he was doing a concert in Milan, Italy. And at the end of this concert, he said, my daughter's going to come and sing a song for you guys. And da-da-da. It was a full orchestra that he had on stage. And so I sang this song, Out Here My Own, from Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Fame was my favorite movie at the time. And it just kind of became this huge thing over there. And she has to do a record and da-da-da. And the next thing I knew, we were in the studio making this record. And then it just got released all over Europe and South America and Israel. And it was just this crazy whirlwind of a crazy childhood.
My goodness. And with your dad working with Frank Sinatra, I'm sure, what an incredible family legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up around some pretty amazing musicians, and I think it kind of got in somehow, but it wasn't like, as a kid, I wasn't super aware of who was around and what was going on. It was just kind of my normal, upbringing.
Being surrounded with some of the most creative people in the world was your normal
upbringing.
upbringing.
It sounds really like I'm playing it down, but kids,
of course,
kids are like, whatever, throw me in the pool, like they don't really care. But obviously, looking back, it's pretty cool.
And now you're working with your husband, writing songs with your husband.
Yes, have been for years.
I'm always fascinated by how people write together.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if you're writing a book, it's usually extremely solitary. It's like you write it and you're the writer. Yeah. But with songs, it's such a different, people collaborate all the time. So how might you go about that collaboration?
Well, I might have a melody idea that I'll kind of start and then, sing to him, and he might add, somewhere, where can it go? Like, I have a great verse or I have a great chorus, and then he'll kind of add to it, or it happens all different ways. I might just have a title, and he'll kind of, put a whole track together based around like being inspired by that title, and then I'll go write words. I always write words by myself, but melodies and stuff, it's fun to kind of go back and forth and just see where it'll take you. But it's really it's just about kind of throwing all your ideas in the pile, and then the ones that feel right just kind of end up staying.
And now that you have a 2-year-old, are you teaching your child about music? And if so, or is it just osmosis, at this point, if you guys are performing and writing and all that all the time?
Well, I mean, I'm going to try really hard to, kind of put her in front of all different types of life and, things to explore and stuff. But, it's inevitable that obviously, we have instruments around the house, and, Mommy goes on tour, and now she's totally obsessed with this record. So, it's I think it's just innately in her. But I think it's up to us to kind of show her other aspects of life too, so she can, figure out what she wants to do.
Do you think that now there's more room for people who are white women singers to play with the Black vernacular in music and to find fans?
Well, I've always been asked this question, even before Amy Winehouse. It was, oh, now you sound like, Christina Aguilera, or there was that whole kind of blue-eyed kind of soul, whatever movement that was.
Christina's not as funky as you are.
Well, I know that. But back then, she was, whatever. She was white. She was riffing, whatever it was. Different kind of thing. And now it's Amy Winehouse and Duffy, and before that it was Tina Marie, and then it was Dusty Springfield, and it goes on and on and on. To me, I'm glad that now. Actually, I feel a little bit like the audience and radio have kind of caught up to what I've been doing all along, that now they're a bit more open with the success of Amy Winehouse, and that they're a bit more open to this kind of music, that maybe when I was making records, early 2000, they were like, no one is going to listen to this. We're not going to play it. Like, no one's going to dig it, da-da-da-da-da. And now it's been proven that people like it if they just get a chance to hear it. As far as playing with the Black vernacular, Black people aren't doing this kind of music. So, I think that there should be more of this kind of music out there in the world. I mean, it's kind of always been the way, hasn't it? Where even early rock bands that were biting blues, would be like the white rock bands that were just playing blues, that were getting the success, and the blues guys that were kind of doing it originally kind of never get heard. Maybe it is just kind of built into the culture, which is a shame, obviously. I don't know where it starts and how it gets fixed. Maybe now it will with Obama.
Obama
Maybe
will
now
fix everything.
Obama he will. You want to change? You got your man.
Exactly. You do have a song that's a bit more sober, though. Bullets in the Sky. The last part of the lyrics are, the path of fear we're being led to tread is paved with wasted life.
Mm-hmm.
Are you more hopeful now? I mean, considering that that's in a context of war, do you feel more hopeful about the world than those lyrics would suggest?
Sure. I think with with Obama being, nominated, elected, I think it's incredible. It's an amazing time, and I don't think we've felt, and I have felt hope that anything can make a difference, or that our voices would be heard, or anything that it was remotely possible. So I just think it's really amazing, and I don't think he's a fearmonger. So I think we've been led by a fearmonger, and it's look where we are. It's a mess, and people are dying still for no reason. So I'm hopeful for sure that it can't get any worse. Is that my last quote of the interview?
That's your last.
Oh,
that's
no.
your last. You can invent another quote. Let's see.
No.
Okay, last
That can't
one.
be your last question.
Last one. What's your favorite song on this album?
Oh, okay. Probably right now I'm loving I'd Love to Love You Less, because it's just such a kind of fun song to sing, and it's very tongue in cheek. It's very sassy, and it's basically this kind of ballad where if you don't listen to the lyrics, you think it's some sentimental love song, but it's really about staying with this useless guy because he's really good in bed.
That's such an improbable
I
scenario.
personally have never been there, but
Yeah, exactly. No, I can't even imagine it. On that note, Nikka, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.